Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dawn Stephen, and not used to talking into the microphone, just used to talking very loud. Yeah. It's okay. No, it's okay. Okay, so I'm the literacy coach at Drew this year. I've done many things here. This is my 14th year here. So I've seen it all when it comes to literacy at Drew. And this is an exciting, I think, chapter in our literacy journey for our school. One of the main reasons that we adopted EL at our school is that one of the main tenets of EL is equity for all kids. And so it was something that our school was really lacking. What was happening around literacy in our classrooms was really varied, and EL really promotes itself as a foundation of equity for all kids. So what the kids have access to in the classrooms is there's a baseline for all students, which is great, and that's a high level baseline. So all the kids have access to these really great complex texts, which is a super great investment for our school and for your kids. So it's a high level, equitable baseline for us to start from, and then we can go from there, and really the sky's the limit. So last year we had EL from 3 to 8, and we had the first edition. This year we have EL K to 8, and we have the second edition in K to 5. So this is kind of the three basic tenets of EL. There's mastery of student knowledge and skills, a focus on high quality student work, and a focus again on character, which will relate back to our SEL work for those of you who were here last month. So EL is built around what's called modules, and there are 4 modules throughout the year. And I put a dot near where each of the grades are approximately, for those of you who aren't familiar. So kindergarten has just moved into Module 2, which is called Weather Wonders. Grade 1 has moved into Module 2. Grade 2 also. Grade 3 is nearing Module 2. They're just finishing up. Grade 4, they just moved in, actually, to Module 2. And Grade 5 is getting ready to move into Module 2. They're just finishing up Module 1. And a lot of the module topics align nicely with PBL. So EL, as Ms. O'Neill mentioned, used to be called Expeditionary Learning. There's a kind of a spectrum of EL adoption at schools. Some schools call themselves EL schools because they build their schools around expeditions. So the whole school is built around EL. Some schools just use it as a language arts curriculum, and some schools are in between. So this being our first kind of real, year with the curriculum, we're using it as a language arts curriculum, but since we're a PBL school too, a lot of the grades are tying it into their PBL. So as we get more familiar with it, our adaptations with it and our connections with it will deepen. So these are your module topics. And I tend to talk too long and then forget things that I wanted to tell you. So I do have some books from each of the modules. This is kindergarten, module 1, first grade, module 1, second grade, module 1, and then I have fourth grade, module 3 up here. And then this is all fourth grade, module 3. So we'll talk more about the texts that are involved. So I just want to mention that, and you guys can come and look at those. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how EL is set up. Also wanted to say that Ms. O'Neill asked me to mainly talk about EL, but I can answer any literacy questions at the end too, because I know that people have lots of literacy questions, and I can answer anything literacy related. So just wanted to say that. So EL is built around a lesson format that does not change, where the kids have an opening, a work time, and a closing. So the format is consistent, but the activities within that lesson format change every day. So what they do during those pieces of the lesson is different each day. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what that lesson might look like while teaching you about EL. So in the opening, there is always what we call a learning target, and this is true K to 8. So learning targets are always built as I can statements, and they're always presented to the children because it's a metacognition skill for them to understand what they're learning. It brings the learning to them so that they're focused on what they're doing. They're not just like listening to someone read to them or blanketly doing some work. So we always have a student or students read the learning target. So raise your hand if you'd like to read the learning target. You're going to have to do something here, or I'm going to call on someone.
I'll do it, Dawn.
We do cold calls sometimes. Okay, Erica.
I can explain the benefits of the EL curriculum at Drew.
Okay, so that's our learning target for today. That's what we're going to make sure that you guys can do by the end of this parent coffee, I guess. So the other thing we do during learning targets is we unpack them. So teachers, all the teachers were trained this summer by an EL coach who also visits our school monthly, and she works with the teachers and with me to make sure that our level of EL instruction is improving and increasing, and that we're hitting the high points. So one thing that we do is we unpack the learning targets, and we focus on key words in them, especially what we call our Tier 2 vocabulary words. So those are like the academic vocabulary words, those words where the kids see them in all subjects. So in this learning target, the main Tier 2 vocabulary word would be explain, because that's a word that they need to know for reading, for math, for science, for social studies. They need to know that for every academic area, okay? So can anybody kind of explain to me what explain means? Can anybody tell me what explain means? Anybody? This is what we would do with the kids, and we would even kind of do like word bubbles around it. For the younger grades, the learning target would probably be posted like on chart paper, and we would let the kids come up and put little words next to it. We might have words on Post-it notes hidden around the room where they might find them and put them up. So anybody quickly, or I'm going to cold call you, gets uncomfortable. Yes? Can you tell me what explain means? When you explain something, what do? You talk about details. Good. I heard her say talk about details. That's very good. What else do you do when you explain something?
Share information.
Share information. Very good. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to share information about EL. Very good. So another thing we do with learning targets in the younger grades, and I'm sure if you ask your little ones about this, we all take our bows and we aim them at the target. So everyone take your imaginary bow. With that, and aim it at the target. And then we recite this learning target poem, which they love, and it's here. I can tell you're so enthused, so I won't make you do it right now. But it's right here. Think of the thing you desire to learn. Believe in yourself, and your efforts will earn the ability to learn something new. Now take your aim at your target, Drew. And they love it. And there's actually a song, too. EL in the younger grades has tons of songs, poems, things like that, so the kids are super engaged. Okay, so then work time. During work time, it could be anything. It could be the kids reading themselves, engaged in a read aloud, which we're going to talk about, the kids writing, whatever. But it's always, it could be reading, writing, creating, experimenting, all of those things, a combination of those things, but it's always involved with interacting with text. Everything now with kids is interacting with text. So if they're writing, it's about text. If they're creating something, it's based on what they learned in text. So everything with EL is built around the text. And the texts are always complex and very in-depth. The texts are a combination of fiction and fiction and nonfiction, information and literary. They are a variety of lexile levels. So there is just a gamut. You can see that this is the 4th grade bin for one module. So there are, just a ton of books. So everybody has what's called a required book. So there might be 1 or 2 required books for the module. But then Drew also purchased all the recommended books. So there's just, 20, 30 books on that module topic for the kids to work with. So that they can build their content knowledge and vocabulary and just have a variety of things at different reading levels to work with. Okay, I do want to talk to you a little bit about focused read alouds and close reads in K-2 because it's a big shift in our instruction when we moved into EL. A lot of teachers and parents were used to guided reading, where we sit with kids. I might sit with this group of students with a B book, like a guided reading level B book, if that's their reading level. And I would ask them questions. Who are the characters? What is the setting? What's the main idea? And that the research is telling us it works for very few kids and it's very surface level. And so we're trying to move into focused read alouds and close reads, which is a much deeper understanding of text. And so it has very sequential